2 minutes with the session. We are awaiting one of the speakers. Please bear with us. We will be resuming them in a very short time. Thank you for your passion, and please, for those that are joining the room, have a seat. We will be also connecting online, so welcome the remote participants. Thank you, everyone. Good morning again. So we are starting with the session. It's a privilege to open the second Tuesday of the week, the second week of the COP27. We are streaming from Sharm el-Sheikh. And as I mentioned before, today we have are very excited to announce the Energy Day. We will be focusing in the Global Innovation Hub on green hydrogen. So you probably saw few sessions that we have on green hydrogen last week, some interactions with the negotiators, and particularly a very important event that we have, a high-level ministerial session last week. With that said, I would like to kick off the session with a video that will set the context and the scene on where the green hydrogen agenda is located, what is happening across the globe, what are the trends. So to my colleagues at the back, I'd like to invite to run the video. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for the inspiring visuals. I would like to thank also our partners. We have, as you know, in the Innovation Club, a platform to promote radical collaboration, and that wouldn't be possible without strategic partners that help us to identify the priority areas and advance accordingly. And the FCA team, Future Clean Tech Architect, has been instrumental to help us putting forward and curate the session. So thank you very much to our colleagues from FCA. Next slide, please. So I already announced this will be the day of energy, the day of green hydrogen energy. This is being proven to be a very strategic aspect within the energy transition in the context of the Paris Agreement. And we will have a space to explain why, what is needed, and what are the opportunities. I will let that message go as we move with the agenda. But to walk you through the agenda today, we have a very packed agenda that is moving from the global perspectives down to the regional perspective, but it's also given the space to enablers that goes beyond technologies that also will help parties, subnational governments, and cities to advance on this energy transition. Enablers such as financiers that are a very important part of the equation, but also other enablers that are proven to be needed and effective, such as, for example, looking at business model, what is the role of the private sector, what sort of combinations and arrangements are needed in terms of policy frameworks, regulations, even leadership and cultural preference or behavioral preference as well. So we will be looking at all of this during the day, and we will finalize with an open space to put together a work program that will take us from here to COP26, 28 and beyond next year. So very briefly, we will walk you through the different themes and the events that we will have during today. So we will start after the opening with the high-level statement. We will do a realistic assessment on the current status of green hydrogen, where we are, what are the trends, and what is what we can identify as perceived possible today. And then we will move into the demands. And the demands, of course, coming from national governments, but also from the industry. And we will be focusing on industries that are hard to abate. This will take place at session 3, and then we will move into session 4, looking at transformative innovations to support the development and scale up the deployment of these hydrogen, green hydrogen value chains. Let's move to session 5. So we are moving and start looking into the demand, and now we will move into what is needed to enable how we satisfy that demand, and that connects to a session on enabling the development and upscale of deployment. You know that this COP is COP of the implementation, so this session is extremely important to align what we are doing with the objectives of the COP, and this will be through systemic and transformative innovation. So that is what we are trying to create here, is the space to transformative innovation. In session 6, we will invite some existing developments, research and development. We will, with the help of FCA, we contact very advanced and visible and well-positioned laboratories. And in session 7, then we will see some of the examples of developments. And finally, it's session 8 that will give us where we are at, where do we want to go, and how do we get there. So we will be anticipating and working with the strategic partners, agencies, and also key stakeholders from the finance world on what is what we want to achieve at COP28 and beyond. So this is, in a nutshell, the program of the day. All of this information is located into our website and into our COP27 materials. Stay tuned, and we will be, of course, providing the stream on demand of these sessions of today, and to our remote participants also, they will be able to look and watch these developments live. So welcome to all of them. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the speakers. Let me start by introducing myself. I'm Carlos Ruiz Garvia. I'm the project manager and UNFCCC staff member supporting our executive, Masamba Choye. He's the executive of the Global Innovation Hub. It's a privilege to have get to this point where we mobilize a movement. The first part is a discovery phase with strategic partners, and he's taking us with his vision to provide this innovation and systemic change approaches and the space for you, for all of you, to come and have these dialogues and help us building an ambitious world program. I will introduce the other high-level speakers after Masamba's intervention, but with this I would like now to invite Masamba Choye to take the floor and tell us more about the Global Innovation Hub, what is the vision, and why green hydrogen is a strategic thing for the Global Innovation Hub. Thank you very much and welcome, Masamba. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Carlos, and good morning to the audience. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those that are following us virtually. My name is Masamba Choye. I'm leading the UN Climate Change Global Innovation Hub, an initiative that has been launched by the UNFCCC Secretariat at COP26, mainly to address two things. The first is that we felt innovation was focusing maybe only on addressing the system of wealth production. How do we improve and maintain the current system of wealth production? And we felt that it was good to explore options for innovation to also serve people and the planet. The second thing is that when innovation is serving people and planet, he's not doing it always in a most effective manner. So what we wanted to do is to also explore how innovation can be best used to serve people and planet with the highest level of effectiveness. So the starting point is a lack of moonshot thinking. When we are setting goal and target, we tend to set our goal and target based on our perception of what is possible, and not based on the future that we want to build, not based on what is needed. And of course, if our target and goal are based on what is perceived as already possible, there is no room for innovation because everything is already available. The technology is already available, the policies are in place, the financial instruments are in place, no room for innovation. And more importantly, this leads to a vicious circle. Because if you ask those that are setting goal and target, why are you not ambitious and bold? They will respond, because we do not have the solution, and I would like to be credible. If I set a goal and a target, and I'm not able to say how I will get there, I will not be credible. So I am setting my goal and my target based on what I know I can do. But then if you go to those that are developing the solution, and you ask them why the solution for transformative climate action are not in place, they will respond, because there is no demand. Because the goal and the target that are set are based on what exists already. So we are stuck in a vicious circle. So one of the things that we wanted to do is to break this vicious circle by facilitating and promoting at least two types of goal. One based on your capability, what you perceive as possible, but at least another one that will be based on what is needed, where you need to be aligned with the climate and sustainability goal. And the gap between the two need to be translated into a demand for climate and sustainability solution that will drive innovation. So the second thing is that when you are in innovation, the focus is always at the sectoral level. But when we are innovating at the sectoral level, we can only be incremental in terms of change, because the tendency is to keep the same product, the same processes, the same value chain, and just find way to decrease their carbon footprint. This is needed, but definitely it will not be enough to address the big challenge of climate and sustainability that we are facing. If we want to address that challenge, we need to mobilize the most transformative type of climate action. So it means that we need to expand the space of innovation to go beyond this incremental innovation and include those that are the most transformative one. And how would you do that? You need to go back to the core human needs that product and services are satisfying, and ask ourselves, for those that are carbon intensive, how can we use innovation to develop alternative value chain that will satisfy this demand, this core human need, while doing it in a way that is aligned with the climate and sustainability goal, while doing it in a way that can provide flourishing life to people, aligned with the biodiversity goal, supporting land regeneration, and fitting within the planetary boundary. So just to give an example, if you ask a mayor, what will you do in your city to improve its carbon footprint, the reaction will be sector by sector. This is what I will do on buildings, this is what I will do on transport, and so and so. And if you take the case of transport, what is very likely is the mayor will say, I will promote the move from combustion car to electric vehicle. That is important, that need to be done, but it will not be enough. We need to interrogate ourselves and say, why do we need car at the first place? Because having more efficient car with low carbon footprint is good, but having no car at all is even better. So then the question is how innovation can be used to support the design of more complete and more compact cities where all the products and services can be accessed and they are at biking and walking distance. Because car is only a means, it's not a purpose. It's a means for mobility. But even mobility itself is not a purpose. Mobility is also a mean, and the real purpose that is behind all this is access. We want to access product, we want to access services. So it means that you can also innovate by using digital technology to replace trip to school, to replace trip to the municipality, to replace trip to the hospital for teleconferencing, and so and so and so. And then the third aspect that is also very important is when we are saying innovation, we tend to focus only on technology. But technology alone will not solve our challenge. We need to have an integrated approach where innovative technology are combined with innovative policy instrument, innovative financial instrument, innovative business model, and also very important, innovative cooperative approach. Because we need to collaborate. We are not collaborating enough. We need to have a radical collaboration by becoming all solution provider. Our focus should not be just to reduce our own emission and be net zero, but each entity on top of that should commit to contribute to the development of climate and sustainability solution other entities can use to reduce their own emission. So this is the vision of the Global Innovation Hub. We want to have a broad movement, and you are all invited to join this very exciting movement that definitely will contribute in making the change on the ground. Back to Carlos. Where is Carlos? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Masamba. This is a space for transformative innovation based on what is needed as opposed to what is perceived as currently possible. So we have an expanded innovation space if we really know what is needed and where do we need to work and focus to create this disruptive value chain that is aligned with the Paris Agreement and the SDGs, and build together a positive development agenda, not a punitive agenda, but a positive one that will help us to satisfy a flourishing life of 10 million people by 2050. So I also would like to say that last week we launched a digital collaboration platform to help cities, to help subnational governments and also countries to express the demand, what is needed, so that we can start working with enablers on how to satisfy that demand. And in those areas where the solutions are not necessarily evident, then we will open the innovation space for all of you to work. So stay tuned, and this information with the support of some high-tech companies at the disposal in our website. With that said, I would like to welcome speakers. I'd like to suggest a slight change on the top of the list, because one of the speakers needs to move very quickly. I would like them to invite Mr. Tareq Emtairah to make the statement. Mr. Emtairah is the director of the Energy Department at UNIDO. He works and his experience is quite significantly. We are very happy to have you here. It's 22 years in development and emerging economies with a progressive focus on sustainable industrial transformation, energy transition, policy advocacy, applied research, and capacity development. It's so good to see you again at the pavilion. We have a wonderful session last year, and much has happened in terms of developments on green hydrogen. We would like to know more about your developments, your plans, and how these all fit within the climate agenda. Thank you. The floor is yours, and I pass the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos, and good morning, and pleasure to be here again at the Innovation Hub. Again, this week, this is our third engagement with the Innovation Hub this week, and the previous week. And it is an important topic, as we are today discussing the Energy Day in COP. Let me just put a context why UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, is interested in this topic, because we are, as an agency, mandated to support our member state on the path to inclusive and sustainable industrial development. We understand that without decoupling industrial manufacturing and industrial development from carbon emissions, we are not going to get anywhere. And the second realization is that a lot of the heavy energy-intensive, energy-intensive and emission-intensive industries for the next 30 years will be built in the global south. If we look at commodities that we need for development in terms of building cities, roads, bridges, it's steel, cement, fertilizers, chemicals, are all energy-intensive sectors and emission-intensive sectors, and we do have a challenge to decarbonize them at the speed and the scale that is required to get us to net zero by 2050. And in that context, we've been sort of discussing exactly, I think Mbasamba gave us all the hooks to say, how do we drive innovations, in particular decarbonization technologies, at the speed and the scale, and balance supply of these technologies with the demand. And actually we have to recognize there is a challenge in terms of getting the right signals from the market to drive the demand for decarbonization technologies, particularly if we look at hydrogen as an energy carrier is seen as one of the key vectors to decarbonize some of these sectors, particularly when we look at industry, at steel industry, iron and steel, and fertilizers and few other sectors. Equally, also when we look at cement, we need to think of so what are the key technologies that will get us to technologies, but also innovations, as Masamba says, to get us to 2050. For example, carbon capture and utilization, rethinking the manufacturing of cement, all type of other innovations to reduce emission intensity. So in that sense, we as UNIDO have been engaging both to look at the supply side and at the demand side. We have actually a dedicated team looking to catalyzing the demand, the supply side of these technologies, the enabling environment, and also building capacity in emerging markets that they can actually be part of this technology transformation, the delivery of, let's say, low carbon or sustainable hydrogen to the market. My team has been looking specifically on the demand side that has been mentioned several times. And we see that you have to go down to the really where the end product is. So if you want to get low carbon, if you want to get a market for hydrogen, you have to connect it. Where are the end products that you need to decarbonize? And we have to focus on, for example, where the demand end-use sectors and how to influence these end-use sectors. And so in that context, we've been looking particularly at steel and cement for the time being, and we'll probably move to also fertilizers and chemicals. So you have to the demand and give lead markets through different policy incentives. So we started a process in the last 2 years with the Clean Energy Ministerial, what we call the initiative, the Industry Deep Decarbonization Initiative, which focus mainly on the role of public procurement and green public procurements. If we look at where the demand for these commodities come, or the procurement of these commodities, the public sector is the largest buyers of construction projects. So basically the largest buyers of steel and cement, over 30% the numbers. So how can we get governments, cities, public procurers to say that we want in our signature projects to move to a net zero construction project? And kind of incentives and tools we can provide to these procurers to be able to actually put that on the market. And so we're happy to see that we have just announced at the Clean Energy Ministerial in Pittsburgh just a few weeks ago what's called the Green Public Procurement Pledge. And that is, we want more government to sign up to this public procurement pledge for steel and cement and construction project. And the idea is that we want to give lead signals in the market to drive demand for low carbon commodities like steel and cement by committing the public sectors to buy through a stepwise, raise the ambitions. By 2030, we want to have 60% of our construction infrastructure projects labeled with low carbon steel and cement. That is a powerful signal to the market. So, because the industry says if you buy it, if you ask for it, we will deliver it. So we need to have a clear lead markets for these technologies. And then, of course, the second part is enabling industry to disclose on the embedded carbon, for example, steel and cement. And through these mechanisms, I think we are trying as UNIDO, and we know that countries individually cannot do it. We have to get the international community to collaborate on getting these market signals because of the enormous cost that is required to invest in these technologies. These are globally traded commodities, and you need also to give consistent and clear standards and specifications to the market. What is a green cement? What is a green steel? So that you can actually create the kind of demand. See, so these are some of the initiatives we try to tackle the demand side to get more innovations in the market. I think I'll stop here. There is other aspect we can talk about, but I just want to give you have to look at the demand, as Masamba said, and Carlos, and this is what we are working on, the demand. So we are inviting more developing and emerging markets to join this initiative, the Green Public Procurement Pledge, because this is where we can actually incentivize industry to deliver a green steel. Then, therefore, to deliver green steel, you need green hydrogen. So the connection is through this kind of pathways. And I stop here, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tareq Emtairah, for the intervention. So drivers in creating demand, procurement processes that are aligned with the Paris Agreement and with the SDGs, how the public sector is moving forward and is enabling also the industry, the private sector, to do the same under the right policy instruments, but also is not only a demand supplier, but is also an organization that has much to do with the solutions. So it's both a demand supplier but a solution provider. So very, very happy to have you here engaged also with these dialogues. So next in my list, I'd like to introduce Mr. Alfonso Blanco Bonilla. He's a strong partner of the UNFCCC. For many years, we've been trying to move forward the agenda, the transition to renewable energies in Latin America and the Caribbean. It's been a privilege to work with OLADE. We do have a MOU, and they've been instrumental in advancing the agenda. Mr. Alfonso Blanco Bonilla, he is the Executive Secretary of the agency. Is the Latin American Energy Organization, and he was elected in 2017 by the meeting of energy ministers of Latin America and the Caribbean for the period 2017 and beyond, and he was re-elected in Lima, Peru in November 2019 for the subsequent periods. He's a mechanical industrial engineer from the University of the Republic of Uruguay. He has a Master on Administration and Business from ORT University and a diploma in economics from University of the Oriental Republic of Uruguay. It's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Blanco Bonilla. The floor is yours. We look forward to your statement.
Thank you very much, Carlos. It's a pleasure to be here, representing the Latin American region, and I have to highlight our collaboration with UNFCCC in the actions in the region. I have a very short presentation regarding our the situation of the energy sector in Latin America and how we are working regarding innovation issues and the role of hydrogen in our region. Why there are a lot of countries in the Latin American region that are thinking in hydrogen and the role of hydrogen in the energy matrix. But I have to explain what is the energy sector in Latin America and how we are thinking about these innovation issues. I want to say an additional issue, that when we are talking about innovation, we are not talking only about technologies. When we are talking about innovation, there are a lot of issues related, procedures related, regulatory mechanisms related, a lot of the creation of market conditions. And I want to show what is the situation of the Latin American region in this and the actual energy crisis and energy supply crisis around the world. Thank you. If you. And always I present this particular chart that is a little difficult to see, but it's very easy to understand what are the flows in the energy sector in the Latin American region. And Latin American region is the greenest region in the world. Why? Because 33% of the primary energy comes from renewables in our region, and this 33%, in comparison with the 13% of the rest of the world, is higher than the average of the world. But this is a recent event. We developed this energy matrix in the recent years. No, we developed this energy matrix during the last 3 or 4 decades ago, because we developed an important hydropower capacity in the region, and most of the power generation comes from renewables with a high percentage of participation of hydro in our energy matrix. But there's an additional issue that is included in our energy matrix. It's the role of the biomass in the energy sector. And when we are talking about biomass, we are talking about biofuels. And biofuels are part of the mixture of fuels in some of big economies in the region, and that is an important issue. The other part of the energy sector is the problem that we are having regarding transport. Transport is more than 40% of the energy demand, and most of the demand are related to fossil fuels, and that is an important issue to highlight in our region. And what are the actions that we have to do regarding the decarbonization of the transport sector? And hydrogen and innovation is part of the solution for to decarbonizing our region. I have to say an additional issue. Our region, the contribution to green gases for the world is only 5%, okay? And the role of the regional economy in the world is around 8%. We have the very low contribution of our energy sector in the green gases around the world. And the role of the region in the actual inventory stock of green gas houses is very low. But the commitment of the region in order to increase the renewability is very high. But additionally, the renewables in our region is part of the solution because the renewables are cost effective in most of the regional markets. Additional. And this is the comparison with the rest of the world in our region. And if we consider the renewables, 75% of the installed capacity comes from hydro, but we are increasing the percentage of incorporation of wind energy and solar, but with very good conditions for wind and solar. I have to highlight some particular aspects of the renewability in the Latin American region. In the south of the continent, Argentina, parts of Argentina, Patagonia, the capacity factor of wind farms are higher than 60%. Okay, that is one of the most important resources around the world regarding wind energy. And if we consider to produce hydrogen, there are two factors that has a lot of influence in the hydrogen production. One is the capacity factor of the resources, no? And we have very good wind and very good solar resources in the north of Chile, the Andean region, and Atacama Desert, and very good wind in a lot of parts of the region. That is an important issue. The other issue to hydrogen production is the cost of capital and the cost of financement regarding the development of hydrogen projects. And there are countries in our region with good conditions for that. For that reason, there are now strategies for hydrogen production in Chile. In Argentina is preparing an hydrogen strategy. Uruguay, Paraguay, Colombia, and Panama, and Costa Rica. Brazil is considering hydrogen production too. For that reason, hydrogen is part of the new steps and the new revolution of the energy sector in our region. Additionally. When I was talking about the installed capacity, I have to say that the incorporation of non-conventional renewables, because we have a very important battery in the system, that is the hydro system. And this condition helps us to have some countries that has more than 70% of power generation from renewables in the region. And there are two countries that has 100% of power generation with renewables in the region, Costa Rica and Paraguay. And there are 12 countries that has higher than 70% power generation from renewables. But the secret in that is that the use of renewable energies, intermittent renewable energies, with a big battery that is the hydro in the system. And that helps to manage the system with a very good conditions. And that's an additional issue regarding the behavior of the energy matrix in the Latin American region. When in the rest of the world the energy prices are very unstable and with very bad price conditions, our system are based on long-term purchase agreement for electricity. Our region has a very important experience, and that is innovation. A very important experience in the preparation of long-term power agreements, power purchase agreements, and that is part of the construction of the energy markets. In that sense, the evolution of the prices in the Latin American region regarding electricity are not very related to the oil and fossil fuels prices, and that is an important issue for the development of renewability. If we want to develop the renewability, we have to show to the general public that the renewables are cost effective for the electricity system. Next, please. And we are going forward in the renewability. And the RELAC initiative is a goal that we present to increase the renewability in the Latin American region up to 70%. Yesterday we presented the advances in this initiative, but we want to have 70% in renewability in the power generation up to 2030. Now, our region has 61% from renewables in the power generation in Latin America. But the big challenge is to reduce the gaps between countries, because we have countries with 100%, but we have other countries with a very low percentage, most of them concentrated in the Caribbean region, and they are very vulnerable to the different conditions of fossil fuels supply, and that is the great challenge. What we are doing regarding hydrogen. Hydrogen is part of the strategies of the future. Hydrogen is part of the construction of value change regarding hydrogen in order to supply part of the demand that now is not possible to electrify. And that is the reason that hydrogen has in our region. The countries has different strategies. It's completely different the strategy regarding hydrogen of Chile than the strategy of Panama. No, Panama wants to be a hub of hydrogen for the substitution of fossil fuels in the maritime transport. Chile wants to produce hydrogen in order to develop a value chain regarding hydrogen, ammonia, and other synthetic fuels. And that is the strategy that most of the countries have to develop regarding hydrogen. There are some projects in the region that are under development. In Chile is the country that has more developed and advanced pilot projects regarding hydrogen. Big companies are working and developing the projects in Chile. There are a lot of challenges regarding, for example, the resource is not in the place that is the demand. No, because the energy source is in the north of the country. There is a necessity to improve the transport system around the country. Argentina has an important project in the south using the wind, with wind higher than 60% capacity factor. Uruguay has very good conditions for wind production with capacity factor higher than 40%, with very good market conditions for hydrogen production. But now the strategy is not to convert the hydrogen production in a new extractive industry. Okay, the strategy is to produce hydrogen in order to create a value chain around the hydrogen, and to create a new industry regarding hydrogen production, ammonia and urea, and other synthetic fossil fuels. And that is the role of the hydrogen in the development of our region. I am convinced that hydrogen in the near future will play a real role in the development of the Latin American region. And Latin American region now is a pioneer region in the development of hydrogen projects. Additionally, I want to highlight regarding this issue of renewability and the role and the political commitment of our region in the renewability. Our actual contribution in the emissions of the energy sector is very low in comparison with the rest of the world, because we have a very green energy matrix, and we are moving forward in that sense. But we have an important problem regarding the use of land and agriculture, and the emissions of our region in use of land and agriculture. And in a aligned strategy regarding the energy sector, and aligned with environmental policies, I am convinced that the value chain of the hydrogen have the possibility to act also in that part of the emissions of our region that are higher in comparison with the rest of the world, that is the use of land and agriculture emissions. Well, to finalize, thank you very much for the invitation. We are working a lot in hydrogen. We have a lot of challenges in order to develop the hydrogen. The key factor here is to create the demand for the hydrogen. We have an internal demand in cement, in steel production. The role of hydrogen in the substitution of hydrogen in refineries that are produced by fossil fuels, and to start to the substitution of some fossil fuels in sectors that are now not possible to electrify, and that is the big challenge, the creation of the demand and to establish the financement for this kind of project, because it's very difficult if you don't have the demand for the hydrogen. It's very difficult to do the project finance for this kind of big project. We are talking about 1,000 watts if you want to have a scale in hydrogen production, and that is the big challenge for the hydrogen in our region and the big challenge for the hydrogen in the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Executive Secretary Alfonso Blanco, for this statement. And thank you very much for being instrumental to bring ministers of energy together, acting as secretary to this community of ministers, helping them to build their roadmaps, but also instrumental on the energy weeks that we have at the regional level. So I'd like to close my this part of the session with some closing remarks. We have the privilege to have very strong speakers. Unfortunately, Mrs. Daniels from the OEM, she was not able to make it. Strap on got stuck on the negotiations, but send us her regards. But let me structure these short closing remarks with three main dimensions: where we are, where we want to go, and how we get there. Where we are, we know that science is telling us we need to move quick, we need to be effective, and we have in the global south, the tropics, all these regions that we saw in previous maps, we have the high potential to transfer all our attention and to move forward with the implementation of green hydrogen transition. This potential will give a development agenda, development opportunities to Global South, and we need to work together to satisfy the demands on energy that we hear also coming from different regions, different continents on moving to very quickly to a renewable economy. But also we know what are the needs. We have in this potential the potential to become not only commodity exporters in the global south, but to leapfrog and be able to be suppliers of end green products. This green hydrogen has a strong potential to supply green energy to the hard-to-abate industries that then can help greener the hard-to-abate sectors and provide, of course, end products that has these green qualities that are all demanded. In addition to this, we also learned that this is connected to other important areas of development. Last week we have the presence of the desertification, come back to the desertification leaders here, and the connection to that is that this can provide also important advancement in terms of fertilizers, to mention a few. And with this supply of fertilizers, actually we can leapfrog as well on food security systems, food production systems that can be greener, but also that can get to the efficiencies and to the quality of products that the whole world is demanded. And this connects, of course, to the food security issues that we also hear last week. This added value is much needed. We can really, in the global south, in these countries with high green hydrogen potential, they can become the main providers, suppliers of the future of the energy, but they need capacities, they need finance, they need not only technology, but they need leadership. They need countries to champion, to come here and to present their plans, to be facilitated by agencies like the UNFCCC, but many others like our partner UN organizations. UNIDO was mentioning what is the role in working with the public to create this demand. But more importantly, they need capacities. They need urgent capacity to advance on the roadmap, to advance on the strategies, to have that reflected in the NDCs and in the long-term strategies. So we need really to work hand in hand with developing countries, with those that have highest potential for green hydrogen transition, and the capacity need to be aligned with science, with research organizations, with research and development, and with the industry. That is also very important. And we will have all of these actors moving forward into our subsequent sessions. And so we look forward to have you all engaged. And please come and be part of the solution. Come to the Innovation Hub and try to engage. We have the tools, and we are putting together the tools to enable these agendas. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much to our speakers, and we look forward to the next part of the day. Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, we are to start the next session in 2 minutes maybe. So I would kindly ask those speakers who are to take their front seats, and the rest grab a coffee or a bottle of water, and we'll talk about hydrogen in detail. Just announce some things, introduce you. So, good morning everyone. Thank you for being here online and on site. It's the second session of the Global Innovation